Hi everyone, I'm Lana from the Breathing Space, and we've had a couple requests on tutorials, so this is one of them. It's a breakdown of how to jump forward from Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, to a seated position. So I'm going to show you all of the different options that you can use the build up to get to kind of the flowing through movement. So there's lots of different ways that we can break this posture down, and you really need to use kind of the version that's appropriate for you, and then start to build up to the next steps so that you make yourself stronger, more connected to the feeling of your body, the feeling of what needs to ground, what needs to be light as you move forward. So remember also it's a work in progress. So just pay attention to your progress and pay attention to what you need to work on. So we find ourselves in downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, what we want to pay attention to, even in the posture of downward dog itself, that's going to help us, is the idea that we're lifting away from the floor. So if I exaggerate, that means we're making this movement, even in downward dog. Yeah. So instead of dropping through the posture, that we use our hands to root, and we use the lift through our belly and the front line of our body to move away from the ground. So it's this whole idea of root down to lift, or you might hear it sometimes as root to rise, all that kind of good stuff. But really we want to balance between how much we press down and how much we lift up. So in the downward dog, that's already an important beginning. Also, we need to pay attention to this part of our body, right through the area just above the pubic bone. That this area needs to hollow and lift and support us. So the whole area of the kind of girdle area around the lower back and the lower belly is supported and lifted. Okay, so from our downward facing dog, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to step through. Okay, we can break this up in a couple ways. So the first step through is to, on an exhale, you'll bend your knees, and you want to be able to try and bring your chest towards your knees, and then moving with your knee and your torso together, try to place your foot to your hand. Yeah? So if you notice that when I move forward, I don't separate my leg from my torso, right? I want to bend and keep these movements together. Yeah. So I want to keep these movements together. Okay. So I just said to step your foot to your hand, but that might not be available to you just yet. So let's take a step back. From your downward dog, right, you would exhale. At the end of your exhale, you're bending your knees deeply. Try to get as close as you can to your legs, pushing through the ground, lifting through your upper back and your middle back, and step forward as far as you can, right? You want to shift your weight forward towards your hands and step to the point that you can. Keep your belly lifted. And then you can move your other foot in to meet the first foot. Yeah. From here, you might just need to sit down. But when I say sit down, I don't mean drop your bum to the floor. So you can drop your bum towards your heels, shift your hands back just in front of your hips, push into your hands. It's as if you're trying to lift off the floor, whether that happens or not. Push into your hands, and then try to extend your legs a bit while your bum is off the floor, and then you sit down. Yeah. So this idea plays through in the whole movement of grounding down lifting through the belly and trying to stay a bit compact. Okay, let's do it again. So now just a little bit further with your feet. So on your exhale, you bend your knees, but you're pressing into your hands, you're drawing your belly in, you're not collapsing through the back, lifting. And then moving your foot forward, maybe to the inside of your other foot or the back of your left hand, so right foot to left hand or vice versa. Draw your other foot forward. Good, keep yourself lifted so you're not sinking. Keep yourself lifted. And then see if you can move your feet forward through your hands, staying lifted. And then extending your legs forward while you sit. Okay. So it's a really slow, broken down version of how you would be moving, right? Because we move a little bit quicker, we move on the breath. So it would look like more like this if we just move in kind of the natural flow of our breath. Sometimes the hard part is getting your feet through your hands. That can be a real struggle. So if you're in the phase where it's such a struggle that it's really exhausting you, then I'll give you another option. The other option is just a little bit of a modification of the first one that we went through. So as you exhale again, bending your knees, pressing into your hands. You're coming forward, forward. Good. Keep your bum lifted, shift your hands back. Push into your hands, sit down and extend your legs. Keep this pressure down. The whole time we're staying grounded in our hands, right? Because ultimately what's happening is we're shifting all of our weight into our hands in order to move our legs through our hands. So we just stepped, but we can also hop and break this posture up. So the next step would be to take a hop towards the hands. So instead of the stepping, we're going to move both of our feet at the same time towards the area just about in the line of our hands. And again, if we don't quite make it to this line, that's okay. We can hop to a place that's further back and then use the modifications from the last versions that I showed. So either moving the hands back and the legs forward or scooting the legs forward from where we are. So just hopping to the position that's going to work out for you, basically. Okay? But the concepts are exactly the same. The foundation is exactly the same. So grounding into the hands, lifting through the belly, lifting away from the floor. On your exhale, you're bending your knees, and on your inhale, you're just taking a little hop, and hop to the point that works. From here, you want to try to scoot your feet forward, and then extend your legs. But the whole time, even when my bum touches the floor, right, I'm grounded in my hands. We don't want to lose the integrity of the support around our shoulder girdle. That's really important. Otherwise, doing this process repetitively without finding the stability in the shoulders can potentially lead to some irritation in the shoulder joint, or in the wrist or the elbow. So just making sure that we stay grounded in the hands, since that's what's taking our weight forward, no matter where we are in the process of the jump through. Okay, so again, just doing a little hop. And you might be able to wiggle your feet through at the same time as opposed to doing one and then the other. So as you Exhale, bend your knees, take a hop on your inhale. Try to wiggle your feet through at the same time. Keep rooted through your hands, and then you can sit. Okay, and so once you're starting to work on the hop forward and then moving the legs through, the next step is to do it all in one motion. The point of struggle is the point where the hips come forward and your hands have to take all of the weight. That's generally the point where we might tend to give up a little bit. And if at that point you drop your weight towards the floor without taking it into your hands, and if taking control of that movement within yourself, then it will be really difficult to get your legs all the way through in one go, right? So we need to maintain the integrity, the intention of grounding ourselves and making ourselves light at the same time. So we want to integrate the two bits. And also to remain stable. And it's a lot of stuff going on. I hear myself talking. There are a lot of elements, but then you slowly start to put all of the pieces together, right? All of the elements come together. But that is the point where kind of when the pendulum swings at the lowest point, that's when there's really a heavy pull down towards the earth. That's the point where we really need to use the grounding of ourselves into the earth to lift away, to find some more power upwards. And then you just have to try and 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 try. Okay. Right, this is called practice, not perfection. So if we're going to jump through our hands, then we're going to make the exact same movement. So the exact same foundation is there. Yeah, we're pressing into our hands, we're lifting through our belly, and there's movement away from the floor. Also, by taking this action, move face you. By taking the action of lifting away from the floor, just watching my shoulders. Yeah, that there's a broadening in the upper back as the shoulder blades wrap forward, so that we keep stabilization in the upper chest. We're breathing here, we're rooting down and finding some lightness, drawing in through the belly. And take a nice deep exhale. Bending the knees, lift your head to where you're going on your inhale, coming forward. Okay, so that's also a good point to make, is where you look. You want to look to where you're going. So if you keep your head down, your head is 3 kilos. So make sure you're keeping your head up, especially the back of your head. So taking a nice deep breath in, rooting down to the hands, lifting through the belly, breathing out, bending the knees deeply, keep connected to your hands as you move forward. Pressing into the hands, lifting through the belly, breathing out, bending the knees, lifting the head as you hop. And you get to this point, push. That is the point that we need to resist the drop. So I hope that was helpful. Remember, you can just break things down and start to build them up. And then also, if you get to the point where one variation becomes easy, it becomes easy to move, you can feel that you're grounded through your hands, you can feel the movement of your body, then move to the next step. And it might be that you need to interchange or mix it up a bit. So as you progress to the next step, you might also need to incorporate the easier steps before it. You don't want to exhaust yourself in practice. So make sure that you're able to maintain the integrity of the movement and your connection to the feeling of your body and your breath, as opposed to just flinging yourself about wildly on the mat, which can also be fun and has its merits. So enjoy working on it. Let it be a process. Let it be a process. Thank you.